Democratic Senator Chris Coons, a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator Coons, thank you. Good to have you with us this evening. Your reaction to what you're seeing play out tonight.
Thank you, Martha. Of course, first, my reaction is that I hope and pray that there haven't been American casualties on that base in Iraq this evening, that we haven't lost any American lives or the lives of our partners and allies in the region. And as all of us wait for what the response will be, I am looking forward to getting a briefing from very senior administration officials tomorrow. All of us in the Senate will get a classified briefing tomorrow afternoon. Just an hour ago, I came from a classified briefing from the Homeland Security Department about the possibility of Iran using cyber attacks against the United States. It is important that we not only be prepared, both at our bases and facilities overseas where our armed forces and our diplomats are housed, but also here in the United States. And I think the most important part, Martha, about being prepared is for the president to deliver a clear strategy to those of us in Congress who would ultimately be responsible for debating whether we think we should be de-escalating this conflict with Iran or escalating further.
Do you have any information, in terms of what kind of protection these bases have in terms of anti-missile defense?
Specifically, this base, no. Broadly, there are assets in the region that allow us to have anti-missile capability. But there are, as you know, thousands and thousands of U.S. Armed forces and diplomats scattered throughout the region in dozens of facilities. I don't believe that we've got anti-missile batteries for all of them. And I think there are some real challenges here in terms of being able to defend all of our troops and facilities, given Iran's relatively sophisticated ballistic missile capabilities.
Yeah. And in terms of Hezbollah and other locations from which attacks might follow, I mean, obviously we don't know whether or not what we have seen tonight is the extent of it or whether it's the beginning of what we might watch unfold. But what areas, what concerns do you have as you look at that potential?
My concern, Martha, frankly, is that Iran may well take this one action tonight and then lay low for months and then surprise us in another theater around the world or here at home. We're going to have a clear strategy for how to engage our allies, how to put pressure on Iran, and how to deter future attacks. And that's what I think is most important, is for the administration and Congress working together to come up with a stronger and clearer strategy for the region. It might have made news to strike Soleimani. Certainly, I don't mourn his passing. He was a person responsible for the deaths of hundreds of American servicemen over the years. But this was a dramatically escalatory step, and now I think we need to make sure there is a coherent strategy for how we're going to move forward.
How much of your thinking on that hinges on what you learn about the intelligence? Because it strikes me, today we got sort of a little bit of information from Robert O'Brien, DHS, and also from William Esper, the Secretary of Defense, who say that the intelligence that they received about attacks on Americans and American interests was that those attacks were going to take place within days or weeks. So what would you have recommended the action be if you feel that this was too escalatory, given the fact that those attacks appear, at least based on what we know so far, to have been something that was quite pressing?
Well, Martha, that's what I look forward to hearing in the classified briefing tomorrow, is exactly what qualified as an imminent threat. But more broadly, over many, many months, there have been steady, increasing escalatory steps by Iran against our regional partners and allies, and some responses by the United States. So, frankly, I think there should have been a strategy in place. I know the president was given, according to press reports, a range of options for what to do in response to Iran's most recent attack, a Shiite militia attack on an American facility that killed an American contractor. And,
what do you think would have been the
others.
Appropriate response, Senator?
Well, the
to
president
that killing
had
of the American contractor.
The president had a range of options at his disposal. I know some of them would have included either a cyber attack or a lower level military attack on Iranian capacities or assets. I'm just struck by the fact that the killing of Soleimani was a very significant escalation, and I hope that there has been a thorough plan put together about what the next steps will be, because a strong, forceful Iranian response throughout the region was, I think, entirely predictable.
Do you think that, given the escalation that Iran had been producing over the last 18 months, and the president had showed restraint, actually, after the attack on the Saudi Arabian oil fields, and made it quite clear that if an American life was taken, that was going to put this into a whole nother ballpark, so to speak. That something dramatic had to take place, and that perhaps taking out this person that had been designated a terrorist by the Obama administration, by the United Nations, was fair game? Or do you think that do you see him as the leader, as an Iranian leader, in terms of the legality of that attack?
Well, Martha, let's be clear. None of us should mourn the death of Qasem Soleimani. He is someone who is a designated individual terrorist, a very significant senior leader in Iran's malign attempts throughout the region. He's helped prop up
attacks on protesters, 1,500 protesters, people of Iran.
Absolutely. In terms of the legitimacy of seeing him as someone who is an enemy of the United States and our interests, I agree strongly. What I am concerned about and look forward to asking senior administration officials about tomorrow is the planning and the consultation. The idea of potentially striking Soleimani has been put in front of American military leaders and decision makers over a decade. Previous presidents, previous decision makers have chosen not to. There were some reasons this might have been the right moment, but there is an obvious set of questions. Did we consult with our allies in the region who were joining with us in the fight against ISIS? Should we have given any notice to Iraq, given that the other individual killed alongside him, also a leader of a Shiite militia that's strongly influenced by Iran, but was himself a member of the Iraqi parliament?
How much of that bears on the target of opportunity and the moment that would have been lost if there had been too much consultation?
That's one of the things that has to be weighed by both military commanders in their advice to the president and the president. But this was not a unique opportunity to strike Soleimani. He's someone who travels fairly publicly, fairly routinely.
But he was alone. He was with a very small group in a car, which makes it a different opportunity than when he's standing in a mass of people, which is the kind of situation that you usually see him in, no?
That's correct. And that's probably why he was presented to the president as one of the options. My key concern here is both, can we keep our diplomats and our armed forces safe in the region? And do we have a strategy? Can President Trump deliver to us in Congress a strategy that we can support that will de-escalate this particular situation, yet push back on Iran's malign activity in the region?
The president said essentially that's his goal as well at this point. So, Senator Coons, thank you very much. It's always good to have you with us. Thanks for being here tonight.